Hi everybody, back again. I meant to actually do part of my moon cycle reading and I just haven't had the opportunity to do it, and being that today is the last, or tonight is the last night of the waxing crescent moon, I'm going to do my pull for that one, and then tomorrow I'll probably do my first quarter moon pull as well. Yeah, it's interesting because when I was just kind of reading over what the card should sort of symbolize for this particular card pull, it talks about initiative. So, like, you know, in the last one I did, which was like the beginning stages, so like, what are your goals, so on and so forth. This one's more so about like what steps you're going to take to get there. And the interesting thing is, over the last couple of days, I found myself actually participating in new routines, if that makes sense, like new, just having a little bit more drive and a little bit more initiative to actually like push and be like, right, well, I need to make change in this area, so I'm gonna push forward for that. So I've sort of felt that energy the last couple of days throughout this waxing crescent moon phase. So I'm obviously going to do a card pull for that because I know that my goal was not necessarily similar to the things that I was actually making change on. So it'll just be interesting to kind of see what card I actually pull for this and how it kind of ties in with my new beginnings card. So yeah, let's get started. All right, so I've pretty much got myself set up. I've got my notebook ready to go, and I've got my moon cycle spread guide open as well, because I was sort of having a quick read of it before I got into it and went, oh, hang on, let me just go back to where I was. So yeah, we're going to get started with it. Okay. Thank you, ancestors. Thank you, loved ones. Thank you, spirit guides. Thank you, all positive energy that I have surrounding me today. I would like your guidance in this waxing crescent moon phase of the moon cycle, in my moon cycle spread. Any messages that you have to come through, please come through when I shuffle the deck. We're doing a one card pull. I'm open to any messages you have for me. Okay, I did feel one kind of want to come out, but I kind of thought, no, I really want to just... Sometimes I feel like I haven't even finished my, like, thankful spiel, before the cards come flying out. And I've got two, and I want to reshuffle that because I don't want to have two popping out, especially when I only asked for one. It's just a single card one for this one, so sometimes if I get multiples, I'm kind of like, nah, I've been clear on what I wanted, so let's just go with one. Alright, we've got one. There we go. And personally, I understand people like to sometimes shuffle for a certain point and then they just like to pull up any card that they feel, but I find that if I'm able to allow one to sort of come out of the deck, or if I feel one wants to come out and then it sort of doesn't, I kind of prefer to keep shuffling until I feel like it's right. Alright, so I've got the suit of rods, and it's number 4, so 4 of rods. I honestly, I feel like I haven't, it's been so long since I did my research on it, but yeah, I actually have to have a look at that specifically, but I get a really positive vibe from the card, especially for the initiative stage. It feels like a real positive step forward, or like a positive movement, like it's like it's almost like what I'm hearing is like you're doing the right things. I might actually just write that down. It's like, yeah, you're doing the right thing. So I don't know whether that's potentially related to the routine stuff I've been doing over the last couple of days, or whether it's signifying something for me, because there has been something that's been floating around my head for a couple of days as well, and I'm just wondering if it's, I feel that I've potentially been able to make a decision on something, or like I've been able to really think about something, and I think that I'm doing what's right for me in this instance. I'm not necessarily just kind of going with the flow. I've gone with the flow, and now I'm kind of like, okay, I need to start thinking about the pros and cons of these things. And so hearing like you're doing the right thing is kind of confirmation for me in the thought processes that I've been having over the last couple of days with this particular goal. But I feel like some of the routine stuff that I've been doing over the last couple of days is almost an extension of that, but for a different part of my life, if that makes sense. Like everything will interconnect, but it's almost like I'm like hearing groundwork. Like you've got to put the preparation in to be able to get to that next thing. And I think that the routine stuff that I've been doing today, or even the last few days, I don't know why I said today, the last few days, it's almost like in order for this question to be answered, or in order for these steps for you to take for this particular goal that you've been manifesting, you've got to look at other areas and how they're going to impact and influence the next phase. So yeah, just give me a sec. I'm kind of getting like lots of little messages through now. I just need to take a sec to kind of take it all in. Like I got the word grounded and preparation. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just hearing like you've planted the seeds, which kind of talks about what I said before, like putting the groundwork in to prepare for the next thing. Plant the seeds. Anything else there that's coming through from that? It's a positive forward motion. Positive forward motion. That's actually not a phrase I actually use. I usually say like positivity moving forward, or positively, like a positive step forward, but positive forward motion, like that's quite a, like it's it's like a really strong kind of phrase. So it's interesting that I'm getting that. I'm getting the word happiness as well. So I don't know if that's necessarily happiness as in I'm feeling happiness in the present because of the positive changes I've been, like, is it talking about more about that present, or is it talking a little bit about like what's to come if you do this groundwork? I'm sort of getting kind of both, but happiness is something that's like kind of jumped out. I just said abundance as well. Abundance, okay. Is there anything else I'd like to add? Okay. All right. I just want to actually check what the Four of Rods actually represents, because I don't know why, but my brain is just like, I remember like studying this suit particularly close. So it's funny that I'm having a bit of a mental blank on it, to be honest, but sometimes it's kind of, I suppose, especially when you're learning tarot and you're kind of using a bit more of that intuition, being able to get a vibe from the card first and then going and checking and making sure that potentially what you're picking up is somewhat reflected in the card. But sometimes it doesn't always have to be, you know, what I can be picking up might be coming either from the present or in the future, and the card might be symbolizing something like right now as well, depending. But because it's talking about initiative and what steps you're going to take, I'm assuming that it's sort of talking about from point A to point B, like what's going on in the point A to point B. Yeah, I'm just going to check that. All right, so I'm back. So I was just checking over it again, and what's interesting is I'm kind of like just sort of reading through it, and it's kind of giving you like kind of what I picked up on, like the word happiness. Like I've actually underlined that because it just kind of really was like permeating. And it's interesting because it's sort of right at the bottom of the description of this, it's talking about bringing the happiness that you have now into the next stage. So I was, weirdly, I'm surprised I actually picked that up sort of right at the end of that card, but it potentially that's why it came through, because it was sort of trying to get that message across rather than lots of the little things in between. But essentially it's kind of talking about, you know, that there will be this celebration, if you will, or like a bit of harmony, you know, a little bit more balance in that respect. Like it's, you know, you've got that happiness and the abundance and the celebration and gifts. Like gifts is one of the core words that I saw with that, and I kind of went, okay, well that for me resonates with the word abundance as well. Yeah, so and you know, sort of when I read through it, particularly that section where it actually mentioned that, where I actually physically saw the word happiness, and I looked back and I realised that I'd underlined it, it was kind of telling me that it was like, yeah, I started to get a bit of a vibe about, yeah, okay, this sort of supports the way I've sort of been feeling the last couple of days, and potentially the decisions that I've been making around certain areas of my life and things like that. So it does make a lot of sense to me. Um, it's just funny sometimes you kind of get vibes from something and then you go back and you just want to cross check it, and then sometimes all you need to see is that one section that has that word that you picked up. They're saying this is what it is. The other thing that it did mention that I found, sort of in the moment, I was kind of like, oh, hang on, I need to think about this a little bit. It was talking about, it's whilst you're sort of in this space of celebration, it won't last forever. So, like, really be present in that moment, take what you need from it, and from that learning experience, and then continue moving forward. Like, that was sort of what I got. And you know, I mean, I don't know if I can necessarily, I mean, it's not like I'm, blowing out a birthday candle and I can't tell you my wish, but it's that in itself as well, it kind of resonates pretty deeply with the decision that I've made as well, is that there's I'm thinking more in the aspects of career, but there's other areas of my life that with the planting of the seeds and changing things up, that's how that career is going to progress. But this particular position that I've been in, there's like a lot more long-term option, and then there's a slight short-term option, and there's pros and cons to both, and I've had to sort of sit there and really think about, well, what are the pros of this, what are the pros of this, what are the cons of this, what are the cons of this. And I think this particular card has also helped cement a decision that I didn't think that I would go this way, but I've sort of gone that way. And I think that's, for me, with what I read with that and what I picked up through my own kind of intuitive side, it cements that kind of thought process about where I've been with this situation. So yeah, it's quite interesting. So I think, yeah, for this part of the reading is quite cool, because even though realistically I could have done it literally the next day, because that was when the waxing crescent moon had started, but I just, unfortunately, I had to make other choices and had to start changing up some routines, and I was just so tired that I was like, you know what, I've still got a couple of days, it's fine, I'll just do it before the next phase. And I'm sort of glad I did, because I think that in itself has kind of helped put the pieces together from the first one to the second one. So yeah, it's pretty cool actually, just now that I think about it. So yeah, but anyway, moving on. How pretty is this deck? Like, I know I've said it a couple of times through all of my videos, but it's kind of got this like grungy Celtic sort of feel, but also something about it is really soft. Like, it kind of has this roughness, but it's also got this beautiful natural beauty and softness kind of entwined in it. And it just, I think colours represent a lot of different things, and I think particularly on cards that you're getting, like cards that have sort of red, orange, yellow, pink even, I feel are quite positive and warm vibes, and cards that have sort of the cooler colours, so things like your violets or purples, greens, blues, turquoises, and then into sort of maybe darker kind of colours, it doesn't necessarily mean that they represent negativity. I think for me, what I pick up from them is sort of sadness is one part of it, but like heaviness, like there's weight behind that card. There's weight behind why you have that card come up, because that's where you're sitting. And I have found that with a few different things that I've done, where I have taken a bit more note of the colour scheme and utilised what I feel from the cards. I know other people would probably just look at me and think, well, you're an idiot. But, I learnt this, I think potentially when Prince George was born, actually. I remember hearing something on the news. One of the presenters said something about, in the, centuries ago when baby boys were born, and particularly if those of nobility or royalty or, quite high profile people, I suppose, boys were generally wrapped in like baby pink, because pink actually symbolizes strength. And that was, for those times, with boys, that was what they wanted for boys, is they wanted that strength, and that, you know, they wanted that to kind of carry through into their life. And then I think it's only sort of really been, when I say recent centuries, you know, that it became seen more as a feminine colour, so they opted for like baby blue in boys, which weirdly enough, like light blues and light greens kind of are more about a sense of calm and, you know, not being like fiery or hot-headed. It's more so like, you know, when you're in hospitals, particularly those, you know, where people are either really, really, really sick, or even mental health areas. In some instances, they'll use very, very, very soft blues and greens as that calming effect. Sadly, in some mental hospitals, it tends to be white, because white is not a stimulating colour. And I sort of get to a degree why they do that, but it's also, if you've been overstimulated and then you kind of put into no stimulation, it then can have like the reverse effect. And it's just interesting when you think about things like that. So, you know, there's just my vibes and my feelings on colours and what they represent to me, and what kind of energy and vibes I get from them. But yeah, that was something that I kind of learned. I don't know, I think I've just always kind of just picked up little bits and pieces as I've gone along through life. And yeah, I don't know why, but I always remember that about, you know, baby boys being wrapped in pink a long, long time ago. And hence why my hair is pink, because I'm at a point where I really need to draw on having a lot of strength. And I found that when I've had the pink hair, even though sometimes I feel a little bit like, oh my God, people are looking at me, there's also that part of me that's kind of like, yeah, but you're there not only giving strength to yourself, but maybe when someone sees your hair, they might be like, oh, you know, that might just be that little boost of, oh my God, cool, there's a bit of colour there, or something that might give someone else strength as well. So, yeah, I'm kind of rambling on a little bit, but yeah, I just thought I'd share that part of my journey as well. But I'm going to leave the moon cycle here, and I might jump in and have a bit more of a play with my tarot cards, or even move into my astrology cards. I'm not quite sure at the moment. I'll kind of figure that out once we're finished with this one. But yeah, thank you to the none of you probably that are watching this, and maybe the few of you that are watching. Cool. Hi, how you going? Thanks for joining me. Yeah, I hope you all have a nice night, and I'm sure I'll catch up with you soon.